Petah Hashaar, opening the gate. Chazal say, whoever lengthens the word Ekhad in shma, his days and years are lengthened. What does it mean to lengthen Ekhad? And why does that bring long life? Today we'll map a practical Kabbalah approach to shma. Two motions in unity, ascent and drawing down. The Alef vayavdel of Ekhad. How Bereishit shows Hokhmah turning faith into a working mental model, length, width, depth. 1. Two motions of shma. The first verse of Kriat shma carries two intertwined intentions. A ascent, hala. We aim elav velo lemidotav, to him, not to his attributes. Practically, bittul, self-nullification. We envision the sephro reabsorbed in atzmat ein sof, like a flame bound to a coal. That's Yechuda Ilah. B. Drawing down, hamshaka. Chazal also say, crown him over the heavens, the earth, and the four directions. That's Yechuda Tata, bringing the light of unity down into the world's grid, up, down, east, west, north, south. These aren't contradictions, they depend on each other. If there's no ascent, there's no drawing down. 2. Why we lengthen Ekhad. Ekhad is Alef, vayavdel. Alef equals Alufo Shel Olam, the chief of the world, and hints to Pele, wonder, when reversed. When Hokhmah channels hidden Kita, Pele, into teaching, oulpana Alef, it becomes the source for the 6 directions of the world. H equals 7 heavens and earth, the vertical axis, up, down. Dale equals the 4 directions, east, west, north, south. Lengthening the Dale means we consciously crown Havaya across all 4 directions, not just believing in unity but installing it into the world's coordinates. 3. Shma versus Amida. Shma is primarily ascent, mezerut nefesh, self-surrender, in Ekhad, aiming elav, to him, not to attributes. Amida is primarily drawing down, barak ata Hashem, blessing as flow into real life. Yet within Shma we also draw down, that's why we lengthen the Dale. 4. Bereishit and the birth of place. Bereishit bara Elohim points to Hokhmah, called Reshit, becoming a source for world structure. Chazal say, Bereishit itself is a mema, a creative utterance. From Hokhmah come up, down, shemayim oretz, the length axis. Then light, darkness, Hesed, Gevurah, right, left, width. Originally, light and dark were blended, vayavdel, he separated, marks Hokhmah moving from hidden to articulated structure. Takeaway, unity isn't vague, it becomes a map, length, width, depth. 5. Length versus width. Length, Orekh, is the flow from east, kidem, front, to west, Ekhad, back, the line from source to receiver. It contains nimi, the core idea, and chitzoni, supporting explanations. Example, a teacher has a tight core point but adds many examples so a child can grasp it. The examples are secondary, yet necessary. Width, Rokhav, is the right-left spread within the idea itself, arguments, 4 to 9 reasons to permit, Hesed, right, and 4 to 9 to forbid, Gevurah, left. That's Beit Hillel versus Beit Shammai, 2 honest angles from one core. Both length and width come from Hokhmah once it moves from Pele, hidden wonder, to Alef, teaching. That's how faith, emunah, becomes dart you can think with. 6. Practical 90-second shma drill. Ascent, 30s quiet breath. Elav velo lemidotav. Imagine all qualities dissolving in Ein Sof. Alef, 15's Pele, from Hokhmah come up and down and Hesed and Gevurah, that is, the 6 directions, Vov Ketzavot, as they enter into differentiation from the utterance Bereishit, that is Hokhmah. Although Hokhmah is in the state of ayin, no thingness, and concealment as a general source, it spreads and comes into the state of the 6 directions divided. This is the meaning of the letter Alef of Hokhmah, oulpana, teaching, when the light of Hokhmah comes to expansion, to be a source for the worlds, for heaven and earth and the 4 winds, it is then called Alufo Shel Olam, chief of the world, as above. Thus, and God separated between the light and the darkness, and he called the light day. This separation occurs when the light of Hokhmah comes from the concealment of Kita into revelation, becoming a source for the 6 directions, days, Hesed and Gevurah, and so on. Then, automatically, light is separated from darkness and is called the measure of day, while darkness is the measure of night, namely Hesed and Gevurah. But before the light of Hokhmah came from the concealment of Petah into revelation, light and darkness were included together, without any separation at all, light and darkness used together in mixture. In explanation, light and darkness are two kinds of measures, Hesed and Gevurah. Light is revealed Hesed that descends and shines downward very far. Darkness is tzimtzum and concealment, withdrawing the light upward. Hence, he called the light day, for the Hesed of God is all day, and to the darkness he called night, the side of Gevurah, judgment, and contraction. These opposite measures have their root first in Hokhmah, from which flow the two leanings, right and left, Hesed and Gevurah, when it comes from concealment to revelation. This is what results from Hokhmah also in up and down, heaven and earth, as our sages said. The Holy One extended his right and created the heavens, he extended his left and created the earth, as it is written, My hand founded the earth, and my right hand spanned the heavens. Thus heaven and earth are also in the mode of right and left, Hesed and Gevurah, even though their primary meaning is only up and down, mashpia, giver, and mekabel, receiver. The point is, the light of influence in the giver, the heavens, comes in the aspect of upper kindnesses, or yasha, straight light, descending from higher to lower, while the receiving of earth is in Gevurah, or hoser, returning light. The first and root of the 6 directions is up and down, giver and receiver, the general descent of light downward. Afterward it spreads to right and left, south and north, which is called width, and that width receives from the length, east and west, which is also giver and receiver. There are differing views on this, as will be explained. To explain the two leanings of right and left that extend from Hokhmah, consider how human wisdom behaves. As soon as a flash of insight shines into the mind from above intellect, it tends to lean in 2 ways, 1, to Hesed on the right, inclining to permit, purify, and acquit, the other, to din and liability, as Beit Shammai prohibit and Beit Hillel permit, with the decision emerging from their middle. Hokhmah itself was initially a simple light without any division into such opposite intellectual measures. Only when it comes out into revelation, in a concrete act of reasoning, does it spread right and left to argue for merit or liability. This is Hesed and Gevurah within Hokhmah, which is the same light and darkness now separated in Hokhmah, light as Hesed, darkness as din, day and night. Before Hokhmah came to revelation, Hesed and Gevurah, light and darkness, were included together with no separation, they used in mixture until God said, and God separated. Likewise heaven and earth were first included as one, without revealed division up and down, even though they too are Hesed and Gevurah, as above. Bereishit bara Elohim. Elohim is din, the darkness that preceded light. The earth was darkness upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God. Hence the opinion that heaven and earth were created as one, with no visible division up, down. For although heaven and earth are also right and left, Hesed and Gevurah, or yasha and or hoser, that is after they were actually created. While they were still included in the utterance Bereishit, they were one, like light and darkness using together, as above. Thus, Bereishit bara Elohim is the concealed state of Hokhmah in which heaven and earth were created together. Afterward they came to a visible division of up and down. Once let there be light was said and light and darkness, Hesed and Gevurah, were separated. In heaven and earth this appears as up, down. In light darkness as Hesed Gevurah, the width of south and north. Those who say heaven was first speak of the revelation of the flow from Hokhmah downwards. Those who say earth was first speak in the sense of the end of deed is first in thought. C. We can now discuss the root of the 6 directions. Up, down, east, west, north, south. In general, they define place. Without them there is no place. The 6 are up, down, east, west, north, south. The essence of place is the plane that includes length and width, length from east to west, width from south to north, right and left. Up and down then come of themselves. Thus some Kabbalists map up down to Netzach, Hod, and Tiferet, Malchut, with east, west and north, south mapped to Hesed, Gevurah. In any case, 3 general aspects comprise the 6 directions: length, Orekh, width, Rokhav, and depth, Omek, upper and lower depth. There are views on which comes first, length or width, with the agreement that length precedes width. This is evident in scripture where east is called Kidem, front or first, while west is Ekhad, back, as in vayavdel. Likewise in the 4 banners of Israel and in the 4 camps above, east is first. The sun rises in the east, and on the altar one begins at the southeast corner, and so on. Length means the descent of the light of influence from high to low, like the shape of a valve extending downward, becoming shorter as it goes. So too the lowering of a profound idea until even a child can receive it, a descent from high to low. There are therefore beginning and end. The beginning, the concentrated point of the flow as it leaves the giver. Its continued descent is called the length of the line that drops according to its measure, down very low. The end is what the last receiver gets. This is east, the front, beginning, and west, the back, and the light begins from east, Kidem, and ends at west, Ekhad. In this beginning when there is no width, no right and left, only a straight continuation from the head to the tail, with no lateral spread, like a river that flows from its source straight to the sea, that is its length. Width, by contrast, in the giver or receiver of ideas, is the broadening within the idea itself, a rich explanation that spreads to right and left. In the length of east-west, since there is beginning and end, there must be nimiut, the inward core, and hitzoniut, the outer, ancillary. The beginning is the inner point, the end bears many outer garments needed for the child to grasp. These extra words are secondary, achorayim, relative to the inner point. This is the parable for east-west, Kidem, Ekhad, as length. By contrast, width is entirely the inner content of the flow itself. Once the point emerges, it spreads in place without lowering itself, into many reasons to the right, Hesed, to permit, purify, and many to the left, Gevurah, to prohibit, obligate. Hence 49 faces to forbid and 49 to permit, all faces, explanatory angles, some to the right and some to the left. This is width, spreading right and left like the banks of a widening river. Thus south and north receive from east, the point. From there one can lean to Hesed or Gevurah, like Beit Hillel and Beit Shammai, who heard one thing yet inclined in opposite directions, each with good taste and reason. This is present in every true flow of wisdom, what speaks directly in the body of the idea, width, versus the outer, ancillary words that only help the student grasp the point, length. Therefore, from one idea you can generate 2 opposites, Hesed and Gevurah, often requiring a decider. The distance between right and left is like the distance between south and north. There is also Gevurah within Hesed. When a kindness-leaning logic faces a contradictor, it must answer objections, correct errors, and banish falsehood. This is the left line within the right. Still, the core left line is what can tilt away from the point toward the opposite of the right. From it branches the capacity to pose hard questions that obscure the truth, the harsh Gevurah, concealments on the truth of the flow. D. From all this we understand a superiority of length over width. In length, the point of truth as it is in the giver goes down to the receiver without deviation to right or left. True, it descends with many outer garments and secondary speech, yet the advantage is that it does not leave the point of truth. Not so width, which can go beyond the proper measure, to excess Hesed or excess din, even though width is all within the inner flow. Conversely, width has an advantage over length. Width remains in the inner content itself, expanding in place, without descending into outer garments and achorayim as length does. It follows naturally that first there is length, east to west, from the point in the east extending to the west, afterward comes width, right and left, or conversely, sometimes width first then length, as suggested by the form of Dale versus Hut. Either way, the east, Kidem, is the beginning, from which both length and width start. However, up and down surpass them all and are the main aspect of place. All length and width describe only how influence goes out from the giver, first as a point, then length and width. But up and down mean the influence as it is in the giver, above, prepared to come down below to the receiver as it is, without first passing through point, line, plane. That is the essence of the flow that includes all later modes of travel. This is hinted in the letters, Yod, a point, Vav, a line, Dale, a plane of length and width. Yet true width, right and left in full, appears when from the upper horizontal there extend 2 verticals right and left, like the letter Het. Only then do you have a square plane, the name place in four sides, like a square mem. Hence the two opinions. One says up down are above length width altogether, the essence in the giver before any measured spread. The other says up down come after a full four-sided plane. Once the room, the four sides, exists, the ceiling and floor follow. Both views are true, the difference is this: when the very essence of the flow comes from above to below as it is in the giver, not via length, width, then up, down are above measured place, behold, there is a place with me. But when the flow goes out from constraint to breadth into the category of place, then even up, down become measured according to the plane of length, width, like a roof size by the floor, and certainly the floor. This is the core of the 6 directions as measured. Thus, after it spreads into the 4 sides, up, down extend in measure, per the second opinion. The letter Ht shows 3 lines, 1 horizontal and 2 verticals, all measured. Daleh shows length and width generally, with its vertical only on the right and open below and north, lacking measured up, down. With this you can understand the spiritual 6 directions called place above. Behold, there is a place with me. In the physical 6, first comes up, down, giver receiver, then length, east, west, then width, north, south. So too above, east, west, Kedem, Ekhad, are born from up, down, heaven and earth, which the letter Ht of Ekhad indicates, 7 heavens and earth. From length comes width, right, left, north, south, the Daleh of Ekhad, the 4 sides of the world. Therefore we must lengthen the Daleh of Ekhad. All 4 sides are gathered at the end, in the earth, receiver, which is the end that includes all 4. The beginning is wedged in the end, the up that precedes everything is present in the down. This is why Hashaar said, crown him over the heavens and the earth and over the 4 winds of the world. First heaven and earth, 7 heavens and earth, the Het, up, down, then the 4 winds, the Daleh, length, width. Note the wording crown him. This is a drawing down from the essence of Ein Sof, which is above being a source for the 6 directions, into being their source, to be the place of the world. Even though up and down are also said about Ein Sof, higher without measure and lower without end, there it means depth of height and depth of lowliness without limit. To crown him means to draw from his own place beyond measure into being the source of measured up, down and 4 sides. Barak Hamakim, blessed from his place, blessed is the glory of Havaya from his place. He is the place of the world, and the world is not his place. This is crown him like a king on a throne, the chariot of lion and ox, Hesed, Gevurah, eagle, Tiferet, and the likeness as the appearance of a human upon the throne. There are 2 human aspects. Human of the chariot itself, faces with front, back, right, left, east, west, north, south. Human upon the throne, the root of all, essentially up, down, like a vav with a yod on top. Above even this human, above Mashpia Mekabel, in Atzmat Ein Sof, beyond Hokhmah, light and darkness was still in mixture, so heaven and earth were included as one in the utterance Bereishit, before the from ayin to yesh emergence and the division of Hesed, Gevurah, vaya, and he separated. This is the meaning of Ekhad. Alef equals the revealed light of Hokhmah from the ayin of Petah, oulpana, becoming source to the 6 directions, up, down and 4 sides, thus Alufo Shel Olam. Het equals up, down, 7 heavens and earth. Daleh equals the 4 sides. So Alef of Hokhmah shines into the He, the 3-line structure, to influence the receiver, and the receiver is the great Daleh at the end, receiving the light of Atzmat Ein Sof as it comes downward via the 3 names Havaya Eloheinu Havaya, through Alef into He, as above. This also resolves the 2 kinds of unifications, Pele and Alef. From Pele, which is above being a source for the 6 directions, there comes precisely the state of Alufo Shel Olam, crown him over the heavens and the earth. It is not a contradiction, even when he is the place of the world is not his place. And when the world is not his place, he is the place of the world. Is he not Ekhad even now? We must draw from the concealment of his own place in Ein Sof to be the place of the world, and yet the world is not his place. Yours, Havaya, is the greatness. And one depends on the other, without assent, no drawing down. Proof: each day, renewal flows from the first source, the utterance Bereishit, by which heaven and earth, up and down as one, are created, and then spread visibly into place, east, width, and so on. Each day there must be a fresh renewal of the utterance of Bereishit from the hidden ayin, to be Osei Bereishit, the Hokhmah, thus Alufo Shel Olam. And this is the general intent of the mitzvah of Kriat shma in the first verse, to lengthen Ekhad, in both unifications, because each depends on the other. F. To deepen this, for it still seems a paradox how can both be true together, that from Pele above place he becomes Alufo Shel Olam, and that even when he is the place of the world is not his place? We already saw a manifest example of such a paradox in physical space. In the Holy of Holies, a measured room, the ark stood yet did not take up space, there were 10 cubits on each side to the walls. This is an astounding wonder. How could the ark not occupy space, once it stood in measured space? If you say, because the Shekinah in the tablets is above space, then the ark should not have been in place at all, yet it was in a specific place, and still did not occupy it. This is the paradox of he grasps all worlds and is not grasped, like he is the place of the world and the world is not his place. Similarly, the heavens are my throne and the earth my footstool. This implies some grasp, like sitting on a throne, yet, what house can you build for me? A house is measured place, how can Ein Sof dwell there? Even the heavens and heaven of heavens cannot contain him, so how the heavens are my throne? The answer is as above, he grasps all worlds and is not grasped. Thus, though he is present, the world is not his place. Then what house can you build? Could he not constrict his presence between the poles of the ark? Indeed, he did. He concentrated his presence in the Holy of Holies. The meaning is, the heavens are my throne refers to dwelling in the lower worlds by a downward leap from his own limitless place to be Alufo Shel Olam. But to have the dwelling of his very essence, as he is without limit, no house can contain me. Yet in the Holy of Holies there dwelt the very essence, blessed is Havaya from his place, therefore even now he has in his world only 4 cubits of halakha, the place of the ark and tablets, called his place. Thus the paradox of the ark not taking space is no wonder. Even when in place and measure, it does not take space, because in the ark and tablets dwelt the essence of Ein Sof as in his own place. Hence we discern 2 levels. How from Pele becomes Alufo Shel Olam, he is the place of the world, he grasps all worlds and is not grasped, the heavens are my throne. Higher, Atzmat itself, as he is, comes below into measure and place, the Holy of Holies, so that even the measure becomes above measure, the ark not occupying space, yet present there. These 2 are clarified by the difference between up, down as the general essence of flow, like the heavens are my throne, before 4-sided spread, and then becoming Alufo Shel Olam in the measured 6 directions, Het and Dale. The second, higher, level is beyond Mashpia and Mekabel altogether, as he is in his essence, without limit in height and depth and 4 sides, he does not come to be Alufo Shel Olam, but as he is in his own place he dwells below, as in the Holy of Holies, so that even the boundary is considered unbounded. In the future this will be revealed in Israel, you shall burst forth westward and eastward, Jerusalem shall dwell as open fields, no walls, spreading to every side without limit, then height and depth will likewise be without measure. Israel will become a vast, unbounded vessel to receive the very essence of Ein Sof, as he is without bound, you shall be a land of desire, his essential desire is in you. Then there will be no Mashpia and Mekabel that requires a leap, rather, as in the giver, so in the receiver. In the Holy of Holies it was enclosed by a subtle concealment so that place remained, yet the ark did not take measurement. In the future this will be openly. This is the inner meaning of whoever lengthens Ekhad, his days are lengthened. He will raise us up and we will live before him, a day that is entirely long, its beginning like its end. We can now understand the great Dale of Ekhad over which one must lengthen, the 4 sides of the world that include length and width. In general, the 6 words of the first verse are Yechuda Ilah in the 6 directions of Atzilut, Barak Shem is Yechuda Tatar in Malchut of Beria. The great Dale is Malchut of Atzilut itself, before it spreads as source to Beria, therefore the great Dale, is the greatness of the divine speech. In brief, there are 2 grades of the 6 directions. One is in the giver, the mid-dot of Atzilut, Zir Anpin, Za. This is Havaya Ekhad, Alef and Echad are the 9 Sephiro of Za, and the Daleh is Malchut of Atzilut. The unification in the 6 directions of Za is the unification and inclusion of place above, up, down and the 4 sides in Atzilut itself, about which we say, crown him in the heavens and the earth and the 4 winds of Atzilut. This occurs in 2 ways, ascent, bittul, and drawing down, each dependent on the other. It is also the upper unification of the 10 Sephiro of Atzilut in 3 lines, right, left, and middle, to include the left in the right, through the revelation of the essence in the line, Kav, that runs through all of Atzilut. He and his vivifications are one, he and his instruments are one. The Kav is called the measuring line, it measures all lights and vessels, yet itself bears the unbounded of Ein Sof, uniting opposites, as with the arc, above. Correspondingly there is unification in up, down, east, west, north, south, like 3 lines, which yields the 12 diagonals, e.g., upper east with lower west, etc. This unification by drawing down comes from the unification by ascent. Yours, Havaya, is the greatness and the power, for all is in the heavens and the earth. Yours is ascent, bittul, of the 6 directions and the 3 lines. Thereby comes, for all is in the heavens and the earth, the Yesod, the small Vov, that is grasped in heaven and earth, the connector that brings the flow from giver to receiver. I fill the heavens and the earth. The letters Alef He Vov He, gematria Tav, associated with Yesod. So too, Bereishit bara et Hashamayim v'et Haaretz, just as up, down join at the initial flash that includes all that will later spread into 4 sides, as above, that initial general line is the great Vov, so at the end, after the spread into the 4 sides, there is a mediator, the small Vov, that joins heaven and earth so that the receiver, earth, can take the great Daleh of Ekhad. Hence, for all is in the heavens and in the earth follows yours, Havaya, ascent causes drawing down. From this you can also understand Yehuda Tata in Malchut of Atzilut as it descends to Beria in Barak Shem, parallel to the upper unification in the first verse. That is, the unification and inclusion in the 6 directions of Malchut within Beria, as they are united above in Za of Atzilut, so is she united below on her throne, i.e., Malchut of Atzilut in Beria after piercing the screen between Atzilut and Beria. This is why Barak Shem parallels Ekhad. On that day Havaya will be Ekhad and his name Ekhad, upper and lower unities alike, one with one. This is also the meaning of yours, Havaya, is the greatness, with a hair, the middot of the feminine, the receiver, called Yemet Olam, the 6 directions of Beria receiving from the days of Atzilut. In a nutshell, speech in a human reveals the middot outward, so too in by the word of Havaya the heavens were made, the 10 utterances, let there be light, Hesed, let there be a firmament, Gevurah, etc., called Gedula and Gevurah with a hair, because they are spread and revealed from divine ayin to actual yesh. The divine light of Malchut of Atzilut, the great Daleh, the greatness of the upper speech, descends to be a source for Beria, just as the Alef of Ekhad, in the upper unity is Alufo Shel Olam of Atzilut. Hence in the lower unity, the Alef of Ekhad shifts to a Vov. In Yushimo Ekhad the tradition plays with letter changes, because it descends from Atzilut to Beria, which in general is up, down, heaven, earth. For all, refers to the small Vov, Yesod of Za, constricting to shine below, uniting male and female in Beria, and so she is united below on her throne, in the Holy of Holies of Beria. Accordingly, everything said above about the upper unity, 6 directions of up, down, east, west, north, south, holds likewise in the lower unity of Malchut in Beria. First comes up, down in general, the ayin, parallel to the Het in the upper unity. For what Hokhmah does in Atzilut to produce the Het of width and length, here Malchut's inner Hokhmah produces length and width in Beria, yesh mi'ayin, which is the ayin parallel to the Het above. This is explained at length elsewhere. The Daleh does not change, because the very flow of light that was in Atzilut is what constricts and shines from Atzilut to Beria. In your light we see light, now seen through a screen. In the future, Havaya Ekhad and his name Ekhad, upper and lower unities the same, face to face. The light of the moon will be like the light of the sun, as known.